Hey Legacy community, this is Terramaster, finally back with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy June regular Speed Duel Tournament Top 4 replays. Before I get into the match, as always, the link to join the Discord will be in the description below. Come on down, get in on these tournaments, and now let's get into the match. We have Hoppy Hops against SOTD Spec today in our top 4. So you'll get another top 4 match after this, and then the finals, and that's all I'm going to do for this tournament and for the vast majority of tournaments going forward. And then we have here SOTD Spec, I believe, chose to go second. Hoppy Hops will set to monster and set to back row, pass turnover. SOTD will do the same, mimicking each other's fields. Great start. Midoriya will get flip summoned after a set back row and go ahead and swing into that recruiter, taking 300 and giving him a counter. One thing I do want to mention, if you see Twisted Personality in a competitive format, you're probably going to see Gravekeepers, and if they set a monster, it's probably going to be Recruiter. But I believe at the same time, Hoppy Hops did think that you do have to be aggressive whenever you can be. Wonder Wand does come out here from SOTD Spec. He will go ahead and activate it. Its ability to send the Recruiter and the Wonder Wand to the graveyard to draw 2. Recruiter activates in order to search for the Oracle. Here comes a Curse, doing 500 damage as well as giving him 2 counters, which allows him to take away the Parasite Paranoid. If it does go off, it does. He will set another back row and pass turn over. Now, the thing about Parasite Paranoid was, usually as soon as you see that Gravekeeper's Curse, you can go ahead and chain that Parasite Paranoid, because you know that second counter is going to come up, threatening to remove that Parasite from your hand. But since he didn't have any space left in his back row, he couldn't have done that. What he could have done is on summon, he could have activated the Zoma to clear that space, but then that would have allowed Curse to take out the Zoma for only 800 damage. So maybe he didn't want to do that. And he also chose to save this Wild Tornado for a Zoma or a Nightmare Wheel, I believe. Probably rather than to take out that Wonder Wand before it could be used to draw with Recruiter. Anyway, moving on. So Hoppy Hops will go ahead and recycle his Parasite Paranoid to draw a card. He draws into more back row. I guess that doesn't really help him be aggressive, which he probably wants to be right now. Midoriya goes ahead and attacks, takes out that Curse. Curse comes right back on SOTD's turn, dealing 500 more damage. 2 counters once again, and the Offerings to Doom will be sniped out of the hand. Now the back row comes down and Oracle comes out onto the field, makes Midoriya 0 attack by cutting 2,000. Nightmare Wheel comes up to stop the attack, but Dust Tornado chains to the Nightmare Wheel. This will mean the attack will go through. Will take a big 2,000 damage. Even though Midoriya kills the Oracle, I'm sure SOTD was concerned a lot more about the damage. And here comes Zoma at the end phase, Gearfried in the main phase. Attacks with both. That's exactly 3,600, but of course the attack does not go through because of Zoma, but that's what he was saving the Wild Tornado for. However, unfortunately there is a Nightmare Wheel, but fortunately there is a Dust Tornado. However, unfortunately there is a Sphere Karibo, and he will get 1,800 in though. And SOTD Spec probably took that because he wanted to go ahead and grab that second counter on his Twisted Personality. But he draws poorly in that he draws a Wonder Wand, which does not do much at this point. So we go on to game number 2. Game number 2, I believe Hoppy Hops did win that match, so SOTD Spec does get to choose, and he chooses once again to go second. And Hoppy Hops will once again start off. We got 2 back row coming down. SOTD once again opens the Recruiter, except this time he's go ahead and summon and be aggressive with it. He will get 1,200 damage. One thing about Moth is sometimes, although it does give it a target for Parasite, I believe sometimes you just have to go with the approach of, especially since he has the Dust Tornado to hit that Parasite, is if you have a chance to be aggressive against Moth, sometimes you just take it. There's going to be a Zoma face down, and now he knows that there's no Parasite here, so he has all the more motivation to be extra aggressive as he summons a Curse, puts more damage on the board, goes ahead and activates Twisted Personality, snipes that gap, activates Wonder Wand, and that is enough for lethal. So like I said, if you think or know, or you can just go ahead and be aggressive before that Parasite comes up, especially once you know that they don't have it. Zoma gets Dust Tornado, gets double Cyclone Chain to it, go ahead and take out a Zoma from the other side as well. But there you go, that aggression pays off. When you're playing against a Moth and you think they don't have Parasite, you've got to go for it. You've got to go for it. If they manage to survive and then top deck it, fine. But if you are pretty sure they don't have it, that's when you go for it. Anyway, SOT Spec will start out Game 3 as he won Game 2. We'll have a set monster in 2 back row. Hoppy Hops will have 2 back row and a Gear Freed in attack mode, which gets Nightmare Wheel, so no attack there. Let's see. Nightmare Wheel burns for 500, giving him a counter. He will go ahead and pass, chooses not to flip summon and Wonder Wand that Recruiter, even though he has Rite of Spirit. Interesting. Gear Freed will be tributed here for a Gap. Gap will go ahead and force that Recruiter to switch into attack mode, and then it will take it out, allowing the Recruiter to search for the Oracle. Turn passes over. Curse comes out onto the board. Curse gives him 3 total counters, which allows him to kill that Gap off. He will activate Rite of Spirit once again, analyzing that the opponent only has 1 card in his hand, and based off what he's seen, it's likely not a Parasite, so he will go ahead and swing in as aggressively as possible here. Getting Hoppy Hops down to 200 is what the plan was. However, Nightmare Wheel puts a stop to that. Zoma comes out in the end phase, and indeed he top stacks the Parasite Paranoid, targets the Recruiter, takes it away, and unfortunately, even though the Curse does get searched, he did have a Moth in his hand as well, leading to the ever fearsome double Moth play. He will also use the second part of his skill to draw an additional card. Moth will swing into the Recruiter, doing more than enough damage to wipe him out right here, and that's it. Admits defeat. GG. Hoppy Hops wins. Moth defeats Burn on this day. And that was a duel. I don't really have much to say at the end here, so I'll see you guys again for the next one. Terramaster out.